Well, hey friends, it's Tracey from Tea Time with Tracey, and I am down in my deep, dark basement. For those that don't know, my house is an old, big old house. I was going to say born, but built in the 1800s. So if these walls could talk, but they love us and we love them. So I'm down in my basement, in one of the many corners of my basement. I'm in the wood room. There's a couple of different areas in this big basement. But I thought, what better place to do a book review, right? I'm trying to do different parts of my house because I love my house and I just want to do. Violet's here and she's getting covered in cobwebs because she's going exploring. Violet, come here a sec. Yeah, she's too busy sniffing around. But I did bring down a teacup. Now, I have a little lamp set up here. I'm not used to setting up lamps or lights or anything. But look at this. Look at that. Yes. A little witch lives in this one. And no, witches aren't always bad. Neither are fairies. But look at that. Beautiful. I love how she has gold up here at the top. And she's not perfect like cylinder or whatever. She's got curves like Shakira. Watch out, Violet. I don't want you knocking that lamp. Come around this side. Come around this side. Oh. All right, never mind. Go exploring. No. Oh, you wiener. You're not. There she is. She's getting a haircut today. Just FYI. Oh. Anyways, yeah, she's got curves. And you can see there, like there's lines going down. And then look at her thick slipper down here. And her beautiful hand on her hips because she's got some spunk. She has a little cuffling there. And there's gold here. And gold on this side. And then she has a big thick piece of gold up here. But it only goes so far. And yeah, she has a little flower on the back too. Isn't that pretty? There's her pedestal. Yeah, and she has gold around her pedestal. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. And then actually what I have in my teapot is coffee because my husband bought me a Tim Hortons coffee yesterday and I didn't drink it. And I heated it up and it was a big one and I put it in this teapot because it's nice to have a little upper crust in our life sometimes, right? Top shelf stuff. I think I got this at a yard sale before. And surprisingly, a large coffee from Tim Hortons is almost half of this teapot. So yeah, I'll probably drink 2 or 3 of those teacups full of coffee. Oh. Did you find any gremlins or anything, Violet? Oh, I should do this up so you can see what the heck I'm doing. There we go. The books that I'm going to review today, not really review, just to talk about, you're not drinking coffee, are some dark romance ones. And they're bully romances. I'm not used to bully romances, but there was a whole big talk about these bully romances before, and I just thought, I got to see what the big whoop is about them. Cheers, guys. Delicious. Delicious. I love ya. I do. Can you get any closer to me? I know. You love and hate the basement. You like to explore, but it's the unknown. All right. All right. I'll show you what ones I'm talking about. I read these probably a month ago. Violet, I don't want to breathe your oat air. This is Untouchable by San Marino. There was a big whoop about this because Carter Mahoney is the guy in this. And he's supposed to be so big and bad and psychopath kind of thing. Unremorseful and stuff. And they said, a review said, if you like this, you would probably like this. This is a little tamer, apparently. I read them both, so I'll give you my thoughts. But this is Truly by Caramel Rhodes. So, what I've discovered, I'm not so much into high school romances. These placed in high school. Like, people just graduating high school, but still high school. I'm 43. I have a hard time relating to teenagers unless you were graduating in 1996 like I was. But they were fine. It's fine, but I'd rather read romances with a little bit older, but it was good, like the stories. But just a second. I got up at 5 o'clock this morning and it's only 9:45. This is my second coffee, but all right, so I'll go over this one first because this is the big baddie, apparently, according to a lot of critics and stuff. Well, not critics, but, you know, people that read it. Maybe I'm just whatever. But so Zoe Ellis, that's the girl in this story. Senior year was off to a rough start. Lube in my locker, panties in on my front porch, unimaginative name calling. See, I got a player suspended from the football team for harassing me. And in my small Texas town, you don't mess with the football players, even if they mess with you first. I didn't care if it was an unpopular thing to do. I stood up for myself, and in doing so, opened Pandora's Box. I never dreamed I would attract the attention of locally worshipped star quarterback Carter Mahoney. Never imagined his coveted attention would turn out to be such a nightmare. Beneath his carefully constructed facade lurks a monster, a predator, looking for the perfect prey to play with. Now, since I'm the girl no one likes or believes, I guess I'm a perfect target for his dark games and twisted desires. After surviving my first encounter with his casual depravity, all I really want is for Carter to leave me alone. But all he seems to want is me. So, yes. This certainly is a dark romance, I can tell you that. I'll give you the gist, the breakdown, the Coles Notes of what the story's about that I can recall. I read it like a month ago. But Zoe is from the small town of Texas. She moved there a few years ago. And at the beginning of the book, she goes over, she got this football player kicked off the team for the rest of the year, and it was his senior year, and it was a, big thing. But he was assaulting her. Well, I mean, he was touching her boobs when she didn't want to have them touched. Not acceptable. Of course, it's not acceptable. But the whole town turned against her, because everybody's all into football, apparently. One day, I'm leaving out some details, but one day, and just know she gets harassed at school all the time in regards to name calling and all that sort of thing because of this. But one time, she gets trapped into a classroom with that boy that was suspended or expelled from the football team and two others, one of them being Carter Mahoney. This is where the big whoop is in regards to what people talk about. And I agree, not acceptable behavior. But what he does, he pretty much makes her do a sexual favor for him. And not a favor, he demands it, and she has to do it because she's scared. Not acceptable. No, not nice. But since that encounter, he is completely infatuated with her. She's still getting teased. She still is not the popular girl, never was the popular girl. But he has seemed to turn his sights on her. Now, she doesn't come from a rich family. She's not poor by any means, but she's not rich or anything. She works at a bookstore. She is just trying to work super hard in school because she's not going to be able to afford going to university unless she gets a scholarship. So she's working her tail off as much as she can. Just want to give you the idea of who Zoe is. She's a virgin as well. Just putting that out there. What he does, he ends up kind of not really stalking her. Kind of. He shows up at her house. She doesn't end up going to school for a few days after that. She didn't tell anybody what happened after that incident because she's seen the backlash of what happened when she reported this one guy. And Carter Mahoney's the superstar of the whole town. So she stayed from home from school just to try to get her bearings. One day he shows up with homemade chicken noodle soup. And her mom is floored because she's so excited. The star quarterback of the town is here to see my daughter. And, you know, she's just over the moon. Of course, Zoe's like, oh my God, what are you doing here, kind of thing. And she can't say anything because she never told her mom or anything. She doesn't relate with her mom real great. She loves her, but not the greatest relationship, I guess. From there on, he shows up at her work. He shows up here and there until she agrees to go out with him. And his tastes in activities are not the stereotypical, oh, let's go for dinner and a movie and hold hands. No. He kind of is, not kind of, he's pushy. He is pushy. But they seem to develop some sort of an understanding relationship, which is not what you would consider healthy, because that's not how you should start a relationship. But then people would argue how, you know, who am I to say that's not how you start a relationship? It doesn't sound like a healthy way to start a relationship. Turns out she likes things a little different too. I'm just getting some more coffee. But she wouldn't have known that unless somebody assaulted her, which, you know, there. The big thing about Carter is he doesn't act remorseful. He doesn't see what he did was wrong, and he doesn't change through the whole story. He's like that through the whole story. I do find he does put in some effort to try to look into her interests, what she's interested in. He thinks throwing money at things can kind of sway somebody to like them. Sometimes he does a few acts, which is admirable, really. But through the whole book, he's still kind of unremorseful. But, so, like, I didn't mind this book. I wasn't, like, shook by this book. Some people seem to be really shook by it. And I'm just like, yeah, it's not good. Just the books I've read recently. That crazy mofo from Ray's story, if you've seen a couple videos back, Tilly Cole's book, Raise, Eric from that, he's 10 times, 100 times worse than Carter Mahoney. I'm just saying. So this might be extremely disturbing to some people, and it's not pleasant. Like, it's like, no, this frog and ice hole needs to go. But he doesn't go because he's the hero of the story. But I'm just like, he's not really a hero to me, but to Zoe, he is. And it's a story. So I'm not very good at doing stars, like star ratings. I don't know. I enjoyed this book. I read it. It didn't take me very long to read it. But it didn't live up to the hype in the sense of the shock factor. And I should say, at the very end of the book, it shows a few years down the road. Or a couple years anyways. And nothing's really changed. And I'm just like, oh, well, I don't know. It just seemed he was extremely privileged young man. And it really went to his head. And he didn't see any way about it. And I'm just like, yeah, well, there's people like that in the world. And it's frustrating because, yeah, they get away with stuff. He's a person that gets away with stuff. And people shouldn't get away with stuff sometimes, but he does. So, long story short, Zoe and him are a toxic relationship, but they seem to connect with one another. But there's a lot Things, there's stuff in the background. I'm leaving out a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff that happens. A lot of part of the story, like a big part of the story. But it was all right. It was all right. It was all right. Now, I think this is a standalone book. I've never read anything else from San Marino. Her writing was very good. Like, I had no trouble following the story. I gotta kick my leg out, Violet. I gotta kick my leg out. And my other one. Oh, yeah. I know. I'm sitting on like a pallet here. But, yeah, this isn't a very good book review. I'm sorry. I don't mean to. It's not that I didn't like the story. It's just, and it was dark and twisted. But, and then people said, if you like this, you'll like this. So let's go into Bully. So, or not Bully, Truly. I do have a book upstairs, Bully. I haven't read it yet. But Bully Romance. So Truly is this girl. She goes by True. The summer after senior year was supposed to be the best summer of my life. It was supposed to be full of adventure and self-discovery and making love under the stars. It was supposed to be about losing myself and finding my way. Only it wasn't supposed to start like this. It wasn't supposed to go... I wasn't supposed to go to that party. He wasn't supposed to notice me. The hot jock with the trust fund and the chip on his shoulder. My ex-boyfriend's half-brother, Noah, is so far out of my league, he might as well be playing a different game. Noah wasn't supposed to look twice at a girl like me, but he did, and now that I'm on his radar, my life will never be the same. So, Truly. Oh, there's something floating in my coffee. There. I'm drinking it, but I just took the thing out. All right, so, True. The book starts off as she's leaving her graduation. So she still has her gown and cap, and she's there with her, at the time, boyfriend. His name's Devin. Like this says on the back, he dumps her while she's standing in line and leaving the high school. They had been together for a couple of years, and he was the type of boy, I'm not against stoner people at all, really am not, but he was not athletic. He hung out, he was a skateboarder and, things like that. Perfectly fine, like I'm not knocking that, because I know a lot of people like that. I'm just saying. He was really nice and artistic and all that kind of stuff. However, he decided to dump her on the graduation. What are you doing, Violet? For goodness sakes, you're lucky you're getting a haircut today. You're full of cobwebs. Look at that. So she's devastated because she had moved to this town a few years ago too. Or maybe I'm getting that twisted, but I know she moved to this town because her mother passed away. And she didn't have any family. She's just with her dad, and her dad doesn't have any family. So he moved her closer to her mother's family. So they live in the same area. Her father's a doctor and stuff like that. So anyways, her best friend, Grace? No, Becca. Grace is in the other story. That's her friend. Becca, I think. Anyways, Becca takes her to a graduation party. Turns out it's at the house of Devin's half-brother, stepbrother. Yeah, half-brother. The two brothers don't get along at all. Don't get along at all. And actually the father that connect these two has passed away. But the brother, what the heck is his name now? Noah. He is like how Carter was, the star athlete of the school, the jock, the popular guy. And at this party, Noah's house is a big fancy mansion, big fancy. True doesn't want to go at all she doesn't, but her friend drags her along thinking, oh, this will make you feel better, make you feel better. And of course, Noah knows who she is because she was the girlfriend of his half-brother. And he zeroes in on her. Turns out there's an assault that happens. Not a full-on aggressive punch in the face assault, but something goes down that shouldn't have happened. And it involves True and this Noah. Nobody knows about it. It happens in secret. And of course she's devastated because she wasn't hurt physically, but I mean, sometimes being hurt emotionally is worse. I mean, it's still, what happened to her is not acceptable. So she leaves the party and again stays home for a few days. School is done. Her friend comes a knocking. Let's go to the mall. Let's go to the mall. We'll go to the mall and we'll feel better. Of course, she doesn't want to go. Her friend shows up and pulls her out of the house with her dad's credit card because her dad was so worried about True. He was like, go take her shopping, you know. And her friend Becca and True were planning this road trip after graduation. And they were doing this because True has the diary of her mother. And when her mother graduated high school, her and her friend traveled across the country on a road trip. So True had planned on doing this with Becca when they graduated. And it's a week before they go on this road trip together. So they were going to go shopping to get some supplies for this road trip. And stop at all the places her mom wrote in her diary that they stopped. So at the mall, they run into Noah. And Noah's friend Ethan is Becca's boyfriend. And True just can't seem to get away. I'm just about to run out of room on my phone. I need to make some room. Just a minute. All right. Violet, come here. I just had to make room. Mallie just poked her head out from upstairs. Wondering if I was still down here, but yeah, I forget where I left off. But yeah, they went to the mall, looked for some stuff, ran into Ethan, and of course Carter was there with them. And she just can't seem to escape him. Now, they're not mean to True, but he's still pushy. He's still pushy. And that's kind of like how Carter was in this. She's not being mean. But both boys have the power to wield the masses in regards to whether people like these girls or not. They can turn everybody against them or not. So that's kind of a thing too, because they're kind of scared because, you know, peer pressure and all that stuff when you're young. Right now, I wouldn't give a flying flip-flop, but when you're young, you do care. So, one day when she's home, her father's going to work, and she's outside giving him a hug, sending him off. Noah shows up at the end of her driveway. Her dad sees him. Her dad apparently knows who he is. There's a bit of a backstory to that, what you find out. And of course, her dad he's like a cool dad. He's like, well, respect my daughter and stuff like that. And of course, True's like, oh my God, Dad, don't, she didn't want to bring Noah in the house at all. Of course, he follows her in the house, even though she didn't want him to. Her dad's gone. And what happens is he doesn't want to leave. He doesn't leave. So they end up watching a TV show and she thinks, okay, well, it's not so bad. Turns out the next day, all over Instagram, he has a picture of her sleeping on his lap. They didn't do anything, but her sleeping on his lap. And he put some snide remark. So, of course, True's ex-boyfriend, Noah's brother, sees it and flips out and all this kind of stuff. And, it's just ridiculousness. Fast forward some more. Becca and True are finally going on this road trip. True's thinking, oh, finally, I get away. We can go do this. We've been planning this for so long. They get in the car, they go. Becca's driving at first, and she stops in front of Ethan's house. And guess who Becca brought along? You're right. Ethan and Noah. And of course, True is flipping mad. But she's pressured into taking them because Becca's all apologizing and all of that sort of thing. But long story short, there's 4 of them on this trip. And she thought her dad would be mad too, just, boys. But it turns out her dad is okay with it because now there's extra people to keep an eye on her and keep her safe. But Ethan and Becca are a couple. So it's Noah and True who are not officially a couple. And she's pushing him away. Eventually they kind of connect on different things, and the relationship goes from there. There's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of trials and tribulations. There's a lot of, I don't want to say fetishes, not really, but just they connect in different ways. So it's hard to give these stories away because they're not big, complicated stories, but I don't want to say too much in case you want to read them. And I enjoyed both of them. I did. Just they're not quite my style right off the bat, in the sense with the whoop that came with them, if you know what I'm saying. They were very good. I liked them. This is a interracial couple. Not that it matters, but just saying. But Cardo's a little more psycho in the sense he's not remorseful at all. Like, he doesn't seem to recognize. Noah is, and he seems to come around a bit. But saying that, there's things and hoops he needs to jump through, and her too. So you'll have to read it to find out. But certainly a dark romance, not a young adult romance. It's a full-on adult romance, even though it involves young people. But I wanted to do these together because they are kind of similar, but not exactly. And yeah, we're down in my spooky basement talking about bully romances. I think I have a couple other ones on order, bully style, because I want to try it until I find one that really blows my mind. And again, no disrespect to these authors at all, but yeah, I'm glad I read them. I am glad I read them. And I would recommend them if you're into bully romances, because they are bullyish. I'm just not used to teenagers. I have a couple of teenagers. Well, not anymore. I have one. Yeah, I do have 2 teenagers, but and then I have a young adult, 26-year-old. So I've been through all that, and I'm just like, idiot teenagers. But I love my teenagers. Gosh, I sound like a horrible mother. I don't mean to. Anyways, yes. Untouchable and Truly. Bully romances. I like them both. They didn't blow my mind, but I did like them both. And I'm glad I read them because I wanted to see what everybody was in a frenzy about. Now I know. So, anyways, I'm going to end this now. While I was taking room off my phone, I drank the rest of my coffee. Violet's completely abandoned me. She's either out in one of the other rooms or upstairs. I don't know. But for those that haven't seen my wood room, I forget if I showed you. Yeah. This is just one room. That was thrown in, which is not piled yet, but it will be eventually. But, ooh, it looks scary, like Blair Witch Project. I remember when that first came out. Yes. Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to end this now because I got the rest of the day to handle stuff. And I'm going to say peace, love, and happiness today and every single day. Please like, share, and subscribe if you so choose. But if not, that's okay too. I still love ya. I still want all the happiness in the world for each and every one of you out there. I certainly do. I really, really honest and truly do. Yes, I do. So, yeah, I hear Violet's toenails upstairs. So anyways, with that, I'm going to say have a good night or have a good morning, and I might see you tomorrow. Bye. Boink. No, not boink. Bloop.